You said we're rolling? Okay.
They
I
see us rolling.
I probably will just launch into it if that's okay.
Okay, go for it.
Welcome to Branching Out by Bonsai, the podcast where marketing gets measured, myths get busted, and acronyms get explained. No filler, just the good stuff. Let's get into it.
I am very excited to be here with my friend and product genius, Katie Moro. Katie is a senior leader at Productsup, global director of managed services, overseeing much of the US and other businesses throughout the globe. For Productsup, she works directly with their customers and it's really there to help them simplify and scale their product content across all different platforms online. And Katie's not just a product feed expert, she's extremely entertaining. I'm very excited to have a few giggles with her today. I also think there might be a few things that we can all learn from Katie, so I'm excited for you to share that too. Particularly with how people can make product data actionable, what are people not getting right about feeds right now, and many other things. Katie, welcome to Branching Out.
Thank you, Matt. That was a great intro. Definitely hashtag data diva, feed fighter. So I came up with feed fighter back in 2016 at a Facebook F8 conference. Before they were Meta, they were Facebook. We were talking to a lot of individuals and they said, "What do you do?" And I said, "I fight feeds, right? All the data's dirty. And I'm just somebody who's really interested in cleaning it up and making it scalable and worldwide, multi-country, multi-language. I really wanted to bring it back down to the SKU, right? Follow the journey of the SKU. That's going to be your product that you're going to follow through with. And then how can you make that the best possible product? So feed fighting is what I do, data governance.
I don't get to always do this. I'm excited because I feel like we can give a bit of a history lesson for folks in many different respects. Meta used to be Facebook, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think people knew that, but I don't know if everyone knows that. And 2016, like that, obviously you were already off and running in many ways, but if you could take me even further back for a second. So how did you get into the world of product data in the first place?
That's an awesome story. So I started working for an end-to-end bid management, feed management agency out of Celebration, Florida, which is called Channel Intelligence. I was working on product data on behalf of the largest retailers here in North America and really trying to achieve their return on ad spend goals and spend massive amounts of dollars on search. The amount of money that they were spending was a lot then. I can't even imagine what it looks like today. And Channel Intelligence was bought by Google.
That's right.
So I then started working for Google as a shopping specialist. And back then there was no remote work. In a car.
In a place.
And you drove to an office. And Google said, you need to move to San Francisco. And at the time, I had a 1.5-year-old son, and I was 5 months pregnant with twins. They would have moved us in a pod, but I decided that I did not want to move to San Francisco. So I started looking for what's next for me. And I interviewed with an agency out of San Diego, and they said, we bought this product syndication platform called Productsup. Have you heard of it? And I said, no. They said, that's not good. They said, you're going to lead our product feed program on behalf of our brands and retailers. So could you meet with the CSO? And I said, sure. And 5 months pregnant on a Skype call, right? And Marcus Rodemeyer, the CSO at the time, gave me the best 12-minute demo I'd ever seen.
Yes.
He solved all my data problems as a marketer who didn't want or need to write code. I was still reliant on someone to write those transformations.
Can I pause you real quick?
Yeah.
Because I think this is a really interesting point and it can pivot into like your other current Productsup work, but could you quickly explain for folks,
Yeah.
okay, what is a retail product feed? And then as you're like, maybe a second part to that, as you're getting this great demo, what about that demo was like clicking for you of, oh, this is it?
So you're a retailer and you have products that you sell online. So you have shirts. You are a shirt retailer. Then that shirt has multiple sizes and colors. So then you may have one product that rolls out to 30 variants. That is the base of a product data feed. Now, when you start to talk about the scope and scale of 1.25 million of those, and you need to categorize them and bucket them and normalize them and optimize them, your job gets exponentially harder. And I used to sit and watch the original Grey's Anatomy, and I would go through product catalogs, putting them into corresponding Google product categories one for one. This is the original season 2 Grey's Anatomy on an Excel spreadsheet. Is it a shirt? Are these socks?
Yeah.
And so this demo said, I don't need to do that anymore. I don't need to live in a spreadsheet. I also don't need to write any code. And as someone who really wanted the control over the money I was spending, I would have to rely on those in our engineering team to just add the brand to a product, or to say, no, I don't want this shirt to be aubergine. It's a purple shirt.
And these things are important. You mentioned how much gobs of money people spend on search, but it's important everywhere online because this little detail, what color is the shirt or what brand is the shoe? We talk a lot of times about these generative platforms, these search platforms as being super smart, and they are. What's funny is they actually are completely dependent on you saying what something is. They're not that smart. They don't figure it out without you. And so like these little things like, what is that? Is it a shirt? Is actually completely critical.
Yeah, and that goes down to even when you're thinking about multi-country, like a dresser is a sideboard, right? So if you're here, it's a dresser. If you're abroad, it's maybe a sideboard. Or a trouser, they're not calling it pants, right? In the UK, it is you're wearing your trousers. And so what did that look like to normalize product data based on regionality, on language? What does it mean to really understand what people are searching for, as we realize no one's looking for an aubergine shirt, but they are looking for a purple polo. And so we really started to look at what was going to move the needle, what were people searching for. Then when it opened up into social, did they care that shirt was a women's shirt, or did they just like the shirt? So if you remove gender on social, are you going to get less traffic? Not necessarily. So we started to really look at those trends, which meant you had to not only optimize the product data feed at its big conception, then you had to start looking at what does it mean to optimize for search versus social versus affiliate versus marketplaces versus agentic commerce. Are you building out different personas for agentic that you would have never thought to build out for a Google? Because now that belt can be a women's belt and a men's belt and a unisex belt. These tennis shoes could be for everybody, but before they were men's basketball shoes. Maybe now they're just the best running shoes on an agentic platform. So really starting to think about where your consumer was in the journey became the burden of the feed marketers.
So tell me, if you think this is the case, is feed management this operational task, or it sounds like it was 12 years ago you started Productsup?
Yeah.
So it sounds like, I think I know your answer, but I would love to hear your thoughts. What do you think that great structured data through feed is a strategic advantage?
Absolutely. I think without structure, you really have chaos. You lack insight, because if you're not then taking what you're doing and analyzing it after the fact, you're still leaving revenue out there. I think you need to make very strategic decisions about categories that work on e-com versus brick and mortar, and how and where you're going to represent those fuzzy socks versus the kids Tylenol. I'm going to go to Walgreens for kids Tylenol. I don't know if I'm going to go for fuzzy socks. But I might still buy them once I get there.
It's tough to disintermediate what's really the most important part of all of this work that goes into making, say, like a retailer successful online. I think what we do around analyzing, a lot of it's honestly, like a ton of it's about ads and media, like how to do that the right way. And I could go on all day about like why that's important. But it's funny, right? You could have the perfect analysis, you could have the perfect automated. Bonsai could have predicted the value of the next ad you should run. And if the thing that you're selling isn't being described to a person who understands what it is and why they want it, it still doesn't matter. And conversely, like you can salvage potentially not great media strategy if you're excellent with the conversations you're having with the platforms around what it is you're selling and who might want to see it. Now, of course, the perfect world is great e-commerce kind of manifestation through you guys, great analysis and automation through someone like us. But honestly, I think the thing that is, I don't run a feed management product, but I think a lot about how people consider and think about it as a part of their stack, it is frustrating because I don't think people fully understand the difference between what it looks like when it's done really well versus what it looks like when you're just like getting the job done.
And I agree with you, and I do see a lot of people continuing to make poor decisions or a lack of decision making around the content for which drives all of their revenue. And you and I both know that you do have to look at it and start to piece it together and say, okay, but what's working, what's not? Is it categorical? Is it from a perspective of rebuilding out nodes of your breadcrumb, right? Is that somehow going to move the needle? But having partners like Productsup and Bonsai to have these strategic conversations is really where you need to get started.
I know all too well from talking to some of your customers, their data, those guys are on lock. You got them well handled, but I do have to ask, tell me about what's messy product data look like? What are the messes that you've seen?
Yeah, I would say overcomplicating it is also a problem. The really messy JSON files that are so super nested that it gets unnecessary to untangle the web that they've woven. I have some jewelers that have a struggle because rings are not necklaces, are not bracelets. So how do you identify the different variants? And this is a ring size, but it has zero to do with the bracelet. So do you almost want to talk about developing a feed by category so that it decomplexes it? That's one. Let's see, those who are really looking at customizable products, so invitations, right? Business cards, but business cards and customizable products are super challenging. They're seasonal. So wedding invitations versus then is it graduation season? There's huge catalog data sets, but yet not a strategic approach to what it looks and feels like. I have another one that is customized bicycles. So none of the bicycles are shoppable because you have to customize them in order to get any pricing.
Oh.
So seat height, wheelbase, the frame length and width, and these are $10,000 bicycles. This retailer actually sells a majority of their products as shoes. So I spent 4 months trying to migrate it, and they said we actually sell a lot of bike shoes. So like we don't even need to worry about figuring this one out. And I was like, okie dokie, shoes it is. There are absolutely industries that are having challenges. After 15 plus years of migrating product data, I've seen all of your messy secrets. I've migrated data stacks from almost every PIM, every ERP, shop system, other providers, and I think our goal is to bring it back to let's talk about each SKU. What does it look like? What's the journey? How can you bring down the level of complexity and optimizations and really have it in an approach where those of us who are strategically then trying to have conversations about spend can say, these are the buckets we have. These are the levers that we have. And even if that means rebuilding product type taxonomies or scrapping all the custom label logic that they've been using for years, like it's outdated, you don't need to use those groups anymore. So then partners like Bonsai can come in and say, now where's the opportunity?
Have the emergence of agentic shopping and LLMs in your mind been like a positive trend for you guys in feed management, or do you think it's something that's making it harder?
I think it is so noisy.
Is it? Yeah.
I think it's really taking us away from our strategic goals on platforms that we still have a lot of work to do on. We are absolutely there for it, and we are first to market with a lot of the agentic platforms, and it's a privilege, right, to be able to speak to our customers about it. I think you have to go in with actual KPI. What are you trying to achieve?
What are you trying to do?
Do you just want to be there?
Could you take a second and explain what does it mean from the outsider's perspective? One might think that a LLM platform just has everything about shoppability figured out because it's magic and it's AI. Could you talk a little bit about what does it even mean for these guys to be getting product ready and shoppable in the first place? What are they doing? What is Productsup helping as one of their first partners to do?
So developing an actual attribute model for the agentic platform to have the attributes necessary to sell a product. Number one. Number two, the retailers are going to have to decide how they want to share that customer. So showing up is one thing, but do they want to give the customer up to the agentic platform? Do they want to lose that showroom ability to maybe bring them into the store and they also buy the power drill?
Yeah.
Because giving someone the ability to shop now, buy now, I also then have an opportunity to win them long term. So there's one thing to be present, and then there's another to have a purpose. So if the purpose is just revenue, great. We're ready for you, and the platform will send out those product feeds, and we're ready for the platforms, and they're creating some of their own chaos on how they want to get these product data feeds, so we can help you guys with that. But what's the purpose? So we really do have a responsibility to our consumer and to our brand and to our business. I find it fascinating to go into a store still. And post-COVID, I think it made me really realize what it meant to touch material, to see how I like the lid of the grill. And so if you're gonna take that away from me, I'm probably gonna fight you a little bit on it. I also then pick up a lot more items while I'm there in your store, so my cart value increases. So are you gonna sacrifice one for the other just to be there? That's on you. Eventually they're gonna have all your information anyway.
Yeah.
To be fair, it's all out there and it's not firewalled and they're crawling your sites. Your PDP becomes your new product page, right? Your feed. So shore up your product pages, lock up your product data feeds, and make some purposeful decisions, I guess.
The more agentic this world becomes, the more it's going to work if the data is structured correctly.
Yeah.
That's just how it works.
Yeah, and you don't have to make it so complicated.
No, complexity is not equivalent to good or successful.
Thank you. Yeah, I think we can absolutely point on that.
I have one story. I think you were there the one time. I tried telling the story the first time. I'm also reminded of, you're talking about you are all sitting and how retailers sit in a position of needing to help not just get their data in order, but define how this should work. I was around at Google back when they finally launched local inventory ads. You're welcome, by the way. But so why do I bring that up? Like, I don't know if people understand, like Google did not know how to sell something from a specific place. They had good old GAN and product shoppable delays, the whole trajectory, but of course most stuff lives in a store.
Yeah.
Things are different in different places. It made sense, of course Google wants to advertise it, but there were very basic things that they didn't just inherently know.
Yeah.
Hey, our stores have numbers, or certain people who live close to one store might actually shop at the one that's physically further from the other one. And it could be because of like very well established patterns.
I work near that Costco.
The businesses understand this,
right?
and then, but like, I do worry sometimes when I hear about we're at a retail conference and I hear or I get this vibe that let's wait until the tech companies figure it out. And if you haven't been in it long enough, what you might not know is the tech companies do not know how to figure it out. They're not retailers. They're not feed people. They build wonderful products for consumers and they make things work and they do that really well.
Yeah.
But I remember if you worked on the old Sears outlet business from the mid 2010s, we were there, like we explained, and the reason why there's product condition and like product ads at Google is because we explained to the people building the product at Google, our retailer sold dinged and dented appliances and things are used or new. And there could be the same thing, it could have different price, and it's not a bad user experience. It's not a scam.
Yeah.
Candidly, I'm not sure anyone at Google had ever bought anything used before. Like, why would you? So we were introducing them to like the world and how it works. And sure enough, it was a really good, the product came out really well. Obviously, as you mentioned, people spend a lot of money on this today. But it worked because retailers were the ones driving it and the experts in the field were like facilitating that conversation. That is, in my view, how it's going to happen if it works really well in agentic. It's going to take listening a lot to experts like yourself, but then retailers need to go and not wait for this to get solved for them. They need to go say, this is what my customer would prefer, this is why, this is the data we have around that. Can your platform help us make that happen?
Yeah, and I think people are just now becoming really hyper comfortable with on-demand delivery. We didn't touch on that, but even that adoption, while forced during a period of time and history where you needed it. Now we're looking at what does it look like to allow the platform, the agentic platform, to shop on my behalf. My husband and I joke that even the Safeway shopper can't pick out the right meat for us. Like a 17-year-old deciding what cut of steak us mature adults would like makes us giggle. So in that respect, it's like very challenging to then say, okay, I don't even trust the 17-year-old to pick out my steak. Now I'm gonna trust an agent to shop for my mascara. Maybe. I don't know. Will I be more willing to let an agent pick out what I'm gonna wear? Maybe. I do think that we are going to see a big shift. We're literally just scratching the surface of agentic commerce, TikTok shops. We talk about the fact that my parents' generation is not buying off of TikTok.
No.
Are they allowing an agent to buy on their behalf? So you also have to know your audience.
Yeah.
So it's not going to work for every retailer.
You're gonna win new customers through these new channels, but you can't not do the old channels, because the reality is, for those consumers, that's the channel.
Exactly.
And that'll be the channel, and that's how it is.
Yeah, and well-structured data only makes all of our jobs easier. And key takeaway is get your product data right at the base, get it on a platform where you can see it and make changes to it, and then analyze it there afterwards.
I love it. Biggest mistake over and over.
Not enough images.
Most overrated buzzword at this conference.
AI.
I'm so happy. Most underrated growth lever.
Segmenting your catalog into what works on what channel.
So if I'm a retailer listening to this right now,
Thank you.
what's the one thing you should do tomorrow morning to improve your product data?
Find your favorite SKU and follow the journey of it. Just watch it. Take your favorite SKU in your product catalog, look at it. Where did it start? Who entered it? In what system did they enter it? Then what happens to it? Does it go through an ERP or a PIM or a shop system? Then what happens to it? Then what does the product detail page look like for it? Then what does it look like in my product data feed? Then what does it look like on any place that my consumer would ever see it? And is it consistent? And does it resonate with what I would want it to? Then I rinse and repeat that for the rest of the catalog.
When you say favorite, like the one that makes you the most money, or just the one you find the most fun?
So like any catalog, I follow the journey of a SKU, and I like to make it fun. So if it's lighting, I like to say sconce for the next month. Who doesn't want to talk about a sconce?